So yes, I highly recommend all of those. I hope y'all had a good weekend. This is our Joy Week. So since we've talked so much about oppression, right? We talked about the reality of all of these structures that exist that stifle us, right? Disconnect us from our culture or attempt to, but are not successful. So I wanted to make sure that there are also themes of creativity and joy, because that's absolutely a part of all of our histories. And so today we're doing a poetry workshop, which I absolutely love his poetry. I don't consider myself a poet. I don't write it actively. So I have invited a special guest speaker, my sister, also a Ph.D. candidate in the Department of Education, Leadership, and Policy Studies, also a high school teacher, English teacher of 17 years at both Fox Tech here down in downtown San Antonio, as well as in Corpus Christi, so having taught in both rural and urban settings, again, focusing on literature. So I'm very excited to invite and to have my sister in our learning community, Lisa Mendoza Knecht, and she will be walking us through a poetry workshop and a writing activity, which is getting pushed over from, yes, Milagros, me too. And I always pretend like what it would feel like to be that person, to be able to like perform in that way. Poetry is just so amazing. And I'm always amazed, especially as somebody who has to like write research, how much a poem can say like in one poem, as opposed to like the 25 pages we have to write in an academic paper, right? To prove, you know, our scholarship, our scholarliness. And then someone will come up with a poem and like just put words together and in like 3 minutes, just talk about like just amazing stuff, right? Colonization and like decolonizing and all of these things. So poets are absolutely necessary to the movement, to resistance. And so, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my sister. We will do a writing activity together, and anything that you're asked to do, I will participate and share as well too. But yes, Lisa, thank you so much for being here. I love you so much. I'm so excited for the workshop.
Thank you, Hermana. I appreciate you. Appreciate inviting me to share the space with your students. This is work that matters to me. The fact that we are in the same city. I know we're doing this Zoom, but you know, these are things that I always didn't think that could happen, that here I am sharing and co-teaching a class with my baby sister. So that's freaking fucking phenomenal. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me to do that with all of you today. So you are talking about writing for joy, right? So I decided to create this little poetry workshop. I'm gonna share some of my poetry with you, as well as take us through a little poem activity. So I think you did have a little bit of homework where Dr. Mendoza asked you to take some pictures, photographs. So we will have a discussion of those photos. So just kind of have those handy when we begin, okay? So let me first, before I dive into it, let me do a little land acknowledgement. I want to take this moment to acknowledge the first residents of the land that we currently reside on, right? The Coyotecans, and who had settled along the banks of Yanaguana, and other tribes such as Tonkawa, Payaya, Lipan, Apache, and the Comanche. May we honor, protect the history and culture and traditions and descendants of this place, and align ourselves with their causes and fights for truth and justice. And also hope to ignite that that spirit of wanting to know our ancestral roots and where we originate from. I think part of Texas history has not allowed us to do that or has valued it as important. And so I'm thinking currently ways that we can do that better for youth here in Texas in public schools. So that's just where my heart and mind is at this morning. So yeah, let me introduce a little bit about myself. Dr. Mendoza told you a little bit about me. I was a former teacher for public schools here in Texas. I worked 10 years in SAISD at Fox Tech High School. And then when I got married and moved to Corpus, I worked in 2 school districts there that were rural, and did that for 7 years, and then came back to San Antonio, to my home place in 2015. I was born and raised here in San Antonio, went to school here, went to John Jay High School, went to UTSA as an undergrad, my first semester, flunked out, and then went to Palo Alto and got my basics out of the way at Palo Alto College, and then transferred to Our Lady of the Lake, and I received my undergrad in English and history from Our Lady of the Lake University, and my master's is in education from UTSA, which is the same year. I think I started my master's the year that I started teaching high school for the first time. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyhow, so yeah, so when I came back to San Antonio in 2015 from Corpus, I became involved in a community organization called Moss for the Masses. So there's a little flyer there in the middle of kind of the work that we did. We did ethnic studies classes.
Sorry, I don't think you're sharing your screen yet.
Oh, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me see that. Hold on. Do I have to hit share screen? Where do I share it at? I'm already in my presentation.
If you go, I think is your presentation like zoomed out? Like, do you have to press escape for it to?
Hold on, let's see.
And then at the bottom in green, there's that little box with the arrow, and it says share screen in Zoom though.
Oh, maybe that's what I didn't do. Hold up. Hold on one second. I apologize. Sorry about that. I was feeling the flow too.
I know. So I was like, I don't want to mess her up, but.
But no, we don't. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, wait. Let me go over here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Got it? Can we see it now?
Yeah, no, we can see it.
Now we can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me go back to it. Well, you didn't miss much. I'm only on the little one here. Okay, here we go. Apologize for that. Okay. So yeah, just talking a little bit about my background. I started my community organization work with it's called Mass for the Masses, which was stood for Mexican American Studies for the Masses. And so we did ethnic study programming for the community, for people that didn't have access to higher education spaces, so to speak. This is one of the middle flyer there is a event that we put on called Cafecitos y Libros. And we actually, the target audience for this workshop was preschool to second grade. So that kind of just to share with you the other parts of my life other than teaching, even though education has always somehow connected to it. In 2017, I started the doctoral program at the University of Texas, San Antonio in educational leadership and policy studies. And you'll see a picture there of my cohort. And over there to the right, I am married. I have a husband, been married now for 12, 13 years. I've got a son who just started community college at Northwest Vista. It's his first semester, so he's doing all those big life transitions and dealing with all those tensions and conflicts that come with it. As well as there's my little daughter there. She is 4. She's going to be 5 actually next week or 2 weeks from now. And she just started pre-K. So she's at pre-K for SA. And so a lot of things have been going on in our family. And I really appreciate Dr. Mendoza asking me to do this presentation, this workshop with you all, because it did allow me to sit with some of the poetry that I've written before and sit down and write a new poem. And I just hadn't been able to do that in a while because I've just kind of been stuck in academic mode and academic writing. So thank you for having me in this space today. So I have a few objectives that I wanted to cover today, and basically wanted to explore our identities as creative writing artists. I wanted to revisit the elements of poetry, which you're probably familiar of. And then kind of go over some reasons for why we should write poetry. And then after I go over that, then I wanted to use the discussion and the photos that y'all took so that we could create a poem together today, this morning, about our child neighborhood or current neighborhood. So that's kind of what it's looking like for this next hour. So if you remember, probably from, I don't know, high school years, middle school years, maybe you've taken a creative writing class. I don't know what y'all's background is, but the elements of poetry, just kind of a reminder, that's usually when you were taught, like, okay, there's a poem has stanzas, right? You can use figurative language, you play with the language. You can have your poems, add some rhythm and rhyme, if you're good at that. I am not. I like free verse myself. Free verse is one of my favorite types of poetry methods because you break the writing rules. You do follow some rules, but really you break a lot of them. So I do like free verse. It gives you an opportunity to express your feelings, to put your emotions right onto paper, onto the ink in the keyboard. Allows for creativity and, of course, imagery. It is a form of art, a form of creative expression, and literary devices kind of goes with the figurative language, right? It allows you to play with language and be purposeful because you just have a little bit of space, right, to write your poem. So here are some of the reasons that I've just listed that we should write poetry. It allows for brainstorming, makes your words work because you've got to be intentional, right? Makes you think differently about words. You got to get to the point quickly, right? And again, there's rules, but no rules, which I like. You experiment and tap into your creativity. There's lots of submission options. This I learned later in life. So apparently there are tons of poetry communities out there that you can find online, locally, nationally, internationally. So believe it or not, I toyed around with finding some of these groups and submitted a couple of poems here and there. It was just one summer that I was really writing. I was just really creative that one summer. This was before the doctoral program, probably before the second, my 4-year-old came into my life, right, where I had a little bit more time. But I did spend one summer looking up different places that I could submit poetry. And it turns out that there's a lot of do-it-yourself printing folks, community people. And, they're creating their own magazines and zines and literary magazines, right, that are not at a, recognized, I guess, or nationally recognized official, in quotes, publication. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to reach out to these people, because like they're doing it, from their homes, going to the library, printing out stuff. I think there were some mujeres here in San Antonio that do zines that way, right? And so that is actually where I found space and homes for some of my poems. And I'm going to share one of those with you this morning. Poems are quicker to write sometimes. I mean, I don't think I've ever spent more than a year working on a poem. The dissertation that I'm writing right now is a product that I've been working with for 4 years. So yeah, it is quicker. It is quicker to write sometimes. It gives you a break from fiction and academic writing. And again, number 10 is like really important. It's a great way to express emotions and capture feelings, right? Even if it's just a snapshot with words, and you're creating. So I really believe that anytime you are creating any work of art, you are engaging in a process of healing, which ultimately does bring us joy. And the idea, like my sister says, I don't write poetry, but she does write poetry. I really feel like we're all poets in ways, but we just don't know it. And unless you sit there and kind of play with an idea, play with a concept, and then put those words together, then you start to tap into that creative part of ourselves that we just don't allow ourselves because of time, because of fucking capitalism and I'm just thinking of all the things that prevents us from staying grounded and being in touch with our true, authentic, artistic selves. And so hopefully I can I can make a space for you all to do that today with Dr. Mendoza. So let me go on to this next one. Okay, so speaking of small publishing literary magazines, the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center here in San Antonio does do a Tejano Conjunto Festival, right, every year. And I'm not sure if you all are aware, but alongside that festival, they do have a literary magazine that they issue out with that. And so I submitted this poem back in, let me see, I believe this is 2016. Yes, 2016. So the title of the poem was, first of all, the submissions were asking for people to share about their experiences or memories of the Tejano Conjunto Festival here in San Antonio. And as daughters of a father who was a músico, we were exposed to the regional Conjunto Tejano bands of San Antonio and Rosedale Park. We were always at Rosedale Park. I have a lot of memories going to these festivals on the weekend, watching my mother and father dance around the dance floor, and just taking in all the sights and sounds and smells. And so this particular poem is a memory of that. So I call it La Reina de Baile. Sea of smiling brown melting faces shout gritos in the crowd. Steam of sizzling carnitas, fajitas, elotes, y funnel cakes con azúcar en polvo. Float seductively in between lines of open air booths. Turkey legs bloom into golden trophies as ice-filled metal bins hold on tightly to Bud Lights, Coors Lights, and Miller Lights, ready to be plucked and nestled in spongy koozies of sweaty, thirsty dancers. Bien, mija, baila conmigo, Papa calls from the concrete dance floor. A shy, chubby kid, I nod a nervous head, Sit on the green picnic table at Rosedale Park, reading the engraved love messages left by dedicated lovers on its weathered surface. Hombres con bigotes machos, starched iron jeans, gleaming belt buckles, and crispy cowboy hats twirl their mujeres in skin-tight pants, fancy boots, never-ending curves. Glittering gold earrings and shiny necklaces nestled in voluptuous cleavage blind me with envy. Ándale, mijita, bien, ven. Papa motions with his leathered, worn hands, moves his body like he's sweeping the floor with a broom. No sé cómo, I yell above caterpillar undulating accordions, billowing energetic conjunto rhythms. Papa, with a sly, handsome grin, dances his way towards me, holds my nervous, plump hands, leads me to the dance floor, tells me to stand on his newly shined leather boots. Juntos, nosotros bailamos, and for once, I feel como la reina de baile in his arms. I feel good to share with y'all today. Sorry if I'm emotional. So you want to share what you just texted me this morning?
My sister is in the process of writing her her dissertation. I think she'll be done next semester. And I'm fortunate enough to be on her committee. So like I'm an official part of her dissertation committee. So I get to read her dissertation and be present when she defends it. And then when she graduates and becomes a doctor, like I'll be there. Yeah, so it's a really big deal for our family, for us individually. And she submitted her dissertation to the committee, which is me and other faculty. And it's almost done. And I'm just really obviously very proud, right? Obviously as a sister, but even as a faculty person to see the work that my sister is doing, which is based on San Antonio. Her work is about women and the ways that they lead, and specifically Chicana Mexican women who are also mothers, who are also queer, who are also right now maybe middle-aged, right? These are people that we never hear about or see about in US history, in Texas history, in Chicano history even. We don't think of, at least when we read that literature, we don't see and we don't think of these women as leaders or as activists. And so her work is really like writing about the chingonaness that exists in San Antonio. And oftentimes we read about California more than we read about Texas or San Antonio. So, I mean, when I read her dissertation, it's a solid, amazing, beautiful dissertation. And very much like this poem that she shared, the writing reflects, and I'm always drawn to work that's like this. I love people who love their people. Like, have you ever just been around people who just like love Mexicans or love women or love Chicanos, you know, like, or love Black folks, right? If you're from that community, like, I love people who love their people and who openly talk about how they love their people. Like, that's just so, because there's so much out there that exists against that, right? Or who love queerness, queer community, right? Like, I just love people who love their people, their community, and want to show like the beauty and the resilience. And yes, the shit that they have to deal with every single day, but just also like the beauty. So my sister's dissertation, just like this poem, just the way like she talks about the bodies, right? And the women and the cleavage and like in these non-shaming ways, and these ways that are just very San Antonio. Her dissertation is like that. It's such beautiful work. And writing in general, but especially dissertation writing, is a very vulnerable and lonely and isolating process. And I did it without kids or a family, you know? And so my sister is doing it with family responsibilities, the gendered expectations that come with that. When you have a toddler, there isn't like, I'm writing my dissertation, please wait, right? Like my sister's doing it through all of these things, which is even more amazing and brilliant and powerful. And I'm just so proud. I'm just so proud. So thank you, Lisa, for sharing your work here and for sharing your work with me by putting me on your committee.
Oh, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for sending me your consejos, and you know, I want to honor our family lineage, our ancestors, with all its messiness and complicatedness. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with my 18-year-old right now, is going through his independence and resistance, and just trying to trying to show like the beauty that he carries within him that comes from our grandmothers. You know, I talked to my grandmothers all this weekend and this morning and asked for their guidance, you know. So yeah, I just I do love my people, and I'm just constantly trying to work on not harming, and when I do cause harm, to be accountable to that, and keep working to find peace, right? And it's all connected. It's all connected, and poetry allows me and reminds me, you know, that hey, have some grace with yourself, because you're not perfect. You don't got it all figured out, and you don't have to. But always trying to make myself accountable to myself and my family. Keeps me honest, I guess, you know, keeps me honest. So anyhow, let me transition for that, and I'll stop talking here, and so that way you all can kind of share with me. I've included, I asked you all to take some photos of either your childhood neighborhood or the neighborhood that you're currently living in, right? Just kind of to give us a little focal point, a little spring point for writing today. And so you'll see here, I live in the neighborhood that actually we grew up in, right? So we live here by Lackland Air Force Base, which is off of Marbach and Loop 410, kind of the northwest side. If you're familiar with, gosh, I don't even know, Ingram Park Mall or SeaWorld, we're like in between Ingram Park Mall and SeaWorld, so to speak, divided by the huge flyways, right? San Antonio is a city segregated by its highways. And so we're inside Loop 410, we're inside Loop 1604, we're not outside of the loop, so that's where we live. And in a little neighborhood called Meadow Village. So there you'll see, this is actually the picture of my house when it went on the market. This is the picture that I fell in love with, was like, oh, this house is beautiful. This was in 2016 when we moved back from Corpus to San Antonio. We lived with my mother for a couple of months until we were ready to buy a home. And this was the home that I fell in love with and currently reside in. Next to my house is a little Westwood Park. They're renovating it right now. So they've included a little trail and have upgraded the community pools. So I'm actually excited that next summer, hopefully, if we're all healthy and all is well and the pools renovations are done, we can finally join as community again and go swimming in our hot summer days, right? And then over here to the right, I have included a little picture of one of the other local parks is right here close to us, which is Tom Slick Park. They have a nice little track and kind of very wooded. And then they have this cute little Loch Ness sculpture there in the middle. So these are just some of the pictures that I wanted to share with you on my neighborhood, and just kind of wanted to have a discussion for a few minutes and ask all of you to share what you took pictures of and kind of describe that, or if we can we share screens of you? How do we do that?
Yeah, I can share a screen for anybody that wants to volunteer, or if you also want to show your phone, if you have pictures on your phone.
Yeah, you can just show the phone with us. Yeah. So I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah, if y'all want to volunteer in the chat, if you have a picture that you either want to share, like on your Facebook or on your Instagram on your laptop, I can put you as co-host. Or if you want to share on your
yeah, let's just have some volunteers, like share a picture, tell us why did you choose that why did you choose that photo? Kind of just give us the reasoning behind it.
I could go. So I live in an apartment in like the Leon Valley area, but I chose to show my grandma's house because that's like our home base. Like I grew up there and I just recently moved out with my girlfriend, but I chose it because that's our home base. It's on the west side. I honestly looked up a photo of it right now because I didn't take one, and I was trying to look through my phone and I couldn't find one, but this is her house. It's a little greenhouse on Saunders Avenue, and this house means so much to me because like our mail goes here, even all of our packages, and this is where we spend every holiday. And I just recently moved out of it, probably maybe 2 years ago. And this neighborhood means a lot to me too, because especially now I realize I went to school in SAISD like my whole life, and even a little bit at UTSA, not as much as like in K through 12, but I didn't realize that I was like a minority because everyone on the west side, okay, well, like 95% of people and 95% of people in SCISD like all look, sound, and come from like this neighborhood too. And so when I moved into the Leon Valley area where I'm in an apartment now, I'm like, oh my God, I just feel so out of place. And even that, like Leon Valley is not very white. Like there's a lot of Latinos here, but it's just very different. Like people are just very different. And so that's why I chose this. My grandma's house means so much to me. And my uncle is getting it in the will. And I was kind of upset about that, but it's fine, I guess. Maybe he'll give it to me, but I doubt it. But yeah, so that's my house, and this is my neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Lillian. Appreciate it. Anybody else?
I love that. I have dreams about both of my grandparents' houses. It's not their houses exactly because I don't really remember because they died when I was pretty young, but that's like the recurring thing that comes out is like both of the grandma's houses. So yeah, I like how you said it's like a base. That's so true. George is connected. Let me put you on share, George. Hold on. Okay, you should be able to share now.
You see?
Okay, so let me see if I can. Are you sharing it on your phone or are you doing share screen?
Yeah, just my phone because it's gonna be a
Oh,
lot.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So first off, wanna see my shirt. Tired as Corona. Hope you like it. I was bored. I make shirts, so I was like, this would be kind of cool. So every time I walk out, tired of that sick and tired of that Rona, everybody be laughing. Oh man, that's cool. I want that shirt. So I don't know, on my free time. So I wanted to share that with y'all guys. Anyway, so I guess like the first one is my current. Let me see if I can blow it up. This is just like, I guess, a picture of UTSA. I live across the street. The next picture is Cheesecake Factory. I'm a fat boy. So one of my favorite restaurants. I live across the street from that. And then all-time favorite as a kid, I always say that I wanted to live by my favorite amusement park. So Six Flags. A lot of memories as a kid going there, and spend time with my family, my mom, taking me on rides and stuff like that. So it brought back a lot of memories. And to be honest, I mean, it was always a infatuation to like live in this area because like coming from the east side, I never thought I would be able to afford to live in this area. So it's more like I sit on my balcony. All these pictures are from my balcony. I was just chilling out the other day out there. And all these are just like, I just sit back and look at the view. I can see like kind of the hill country. And it's a part of like accomplishment for me. You know what I mean? Like seeing my mom, my dad work 3 or 4 jobs, struggling, just trying to make it, going to, school and being in an environment. Like I said, I went to Sam. So a lot of people didn't really have like a whole lot. We just kind of, got what we could and made it through. So just the transition from like where I came from, currently at, and and having visions on where I want to go is a big testament from my background and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we always gotta just take it in and really I guess enjoy yourself. And that's like my little happy place throughout my place is to sit on the balcony and look out and be like, dang, I did that. So yeah, man, that's like my happy spot, and a real nice view, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now I ain't gonna lie, like being out here, like one of my other classmates, you know how they can be, and like that. I can't say it like she like my leasing agent, because she got a real deep accent, but I don't know. I feel like it's indifferent, but I mean, I work hard, so I don't care what people think. Because I walk around this this is like I don't like a retirement type facility. I guess a lot too many kids out there work here. A lot of established people, retired lawyers and doctors and stuff. They're here, and they walk around, do their little, ritual suburban thing. Walk the dog and smile and laugh, and they see me from time to time, and some people are like engaging and they smile and they wave, and some people just look at me like, why do you live here? Like, are you what I mean? So it's just stuff like that I deal with living out here, which anybody knows, like a Terra area can be. It has its up and downs on the people that you deal with, but I mean, that don't really break me. I mean, I come from like a strong background, so it's like stuff like that really don't bother me as long as it doesn't get to a point to where they're like in my personal space. I'm good, but words don't really bother me. I'm a strong dude. I don't care about none of that. And then especially with me looking the way I look, and then not look when I look, but I can look a little bit intimidating when I work out. So I guess that's a good thing too. But no, for the most part, like I said, I mean, I just try to do what I can. And yeah, so that's basically all I really have. I forgot the other questions that we were supposed to, or was that it?
I think that's good, right, Lisa? I know you have other questions for the writing part.
No, that's great. Yes, no, thank you, George, for sharing that. And so the trick will be today, right, is to take those feelings, right, those, what you just shared with us, right, and then put it into a little something, right? So that's kind of where we're moving towards, right? So if you all have, is there anybody else that'd like to share their photos? And we can start the workshop here. I do have just kind of a little model, a little framework for us to use to get the juices going.
Jamie's gonna go really quickly. Let me pull up. Jamie, do you have this on your laptop or on your phone?
On the laptop.
Okay, so let me put you as a co-host. Oh, wait. Are you on your phone or? Oh no, it's on the laptop. Okay. You're coming up twice,
Yes, ma'am.
one on your phone and one on your.
Yeah, sorry, I can't hear from the laptop.
Okay, see if that lets you go. Okay, Jamie, we can see it, but we can't hear you. I don't know. You know what? Maybe it's because I need to make your phone one co-host too. Let's see.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now. Okay, I can't hear you anymore. I can see the picture. I can see your cursor moving. I just can't hear you. I don't know if you're.
Sorry, I don't know why I think when you did something, it muted the phone. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Okay. I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry. So this is the street, San Carlos Street, that I grew up in. That's off of Hamilton and San Carlos in the west side. Those are the Casiano courts. I don't know if y'all have ever passed through there, but every part of the building has some Mexican historic figure on there. Like there's one that's Laredo, and it's is it what is the woman the lady who they're carrying, the man who's carrying the woman in his arms. It's a story, and I can't remember the story, but there's that one, and then the Apache, yeah, and then they have another one where he's Medal of Honor. Sorry, my dad's here. But yeah, this is the neighborhood I grew up in my whole life. My dad grew up there. He was actually born in the house that he currently lives. So I really love the Casiano courts. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's very dangerous to walk. A lot of my friends actually grew up there. So this is like a big historic thing for, I guess, anybody who lives in the west side. That's just a big thing. The murals represent a lot. And I actually like this one because of the cups and the Virgin in the back and the priest saying to stop with the Mexican flag. So that's really pretty. And if anybody ever gets to go, there's so many beautiful images just in the whole thing. And those are actually still one of the courts that they haven't torn down or remodeled. But I was told in a couple of years they might. So it's going to be sad if it does, they do decide to tear them down, because it's a beautiful thing. So this is just the neighborhood I grew up in. And you can see the lasso. I remember when people would steal shirts, they would go, we're going lasso shopping. And that's, when, it's funny now, but I mean, like I moved to the south side. And when we first moved, I would always tell my mom and my dad, I was like, man, it's so quiet out here. You don't hear cops, the ambulances, the train. So it took us a while to finally go to sleep because it was too quiet. And now it's like, if we hear anything, we're like, oh my God, what's going on? But yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, this is just my picture of my home.
Thank you for sharing, Jamie. I love that. And I don't know if this is going to be the requirement of Lisa's writing activity, but I do think what your neighborhood sounds like is a really beautiful question. And I'm happy that you observed that and shared that. The sounds that make up different areas where you live.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. That was that is actually part of it. So yeah, so I'm gonna have, let's see, let me share my screen back again. So yeah, so the picture, the questions that I kind of had, and you all touched on some of those, was just to describe to us, what you took, what pictures you took, and just curious, and I'm just asking this as a whole group, you don't need to answer, but were there any specific landmarks and buildings that you were drawn to, right? Any particular restaurants? Did anybody take pictures of restaurants in their photos? Food is huge, right? I mean, it's home. And then why you were drawn to those buildings, right? And then another question that I provide here for you, just to kind of, have you thinking as we get ready to write. Were there any people in your neighborhood photos? Did you include photos of maybe family or friends or I don't know, the vendor down the street or whatever is around you, right? Maybe somebody that works in your local coffee shop where you go for your morning coffee. I don't know. And if so, why did you choose them? Why are they staples of your neighborhood or community? What does that represent? And then another question that I wanted you to consider and think about as we write today is, did you experiment with editing or changing the format of your photos and color? And if so, why? What was it about coloring and formatting and cropping and maybe going from a colored photo to a black and white photo that changes or adds to the feel of what you recall or what you remember about your neighborhood, right? So those are just some questions to consider as we write today. So I invite for you all, I guess, I don't know if you want to open up a Word doc, however you write, whether it's pen and paper. Everybody has their different ways and styles. I write poetry. I like to type it out myself. I wish I could be one of those that would write on scraps of pieces of paper and then hold on to it and then transfer it over. But I don't know why I'm just not in the habit of doing that. I just think I guess it's just whatever method, right, that you like. Every once in a while, there will be a quote that just pops out and I'm just like, oh my God, let me write that down and I'll text it to myself. So I do have some text messages of phrases or words that grab my attention, right? So what I'd like for you to do is whatever format you use, paper, pen, or typewriter, Word doc, Google Doc, we're going to go ahead and start our writing workshop. And I don't know if Sylvia, you want to put on some mood music, but we're going to start with the first stanza. And remember, just basic elements of poetry. A stanza is a group of lines, right? It forms the basic unit of your poem. And today we're going to write a 4-stanza poem. Doesn't matter to me how many lines you want your stanza to be, right? This is poetry. We are using your neighborhood and your neighborhood photos as a focal point. So for stanza number 1, I'm going to ask that you describe the things that you see, hear in your neighborhood. And I challenge also for you to include some imagery that appeals to the other senses of smell, taste, and touch. You can use your photographs as a starting point. And I don't know, Sylvia, if you want to put some music. And let's take I will give you, remember, this is first draft brainstorming writing. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes. We'll say about 2-3 minutes for stanza 1. You can continue writing your stanza 1. You can take a little break from it, however you wish. Stanza 2 will focus on your feelings about your neighborhood and the people who live there. And you heard some of that come out for those of your classmates that volunteered to share their photos, right? So kind of capture in stanza 2 your feelings about your neighborhood and the people who live there. Give you about 3 minutes. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about if you're choosing the right words. We're just putting the feelings on the paper. Okay, I'm going to move on to stanza 3. For stanza 3, how might others or outsiders view your neighborhood? What would they say or think? If you'd like to play with rhythm and rhyming, finding rhyme patterns is always fun too. You can do every other line that rhymes. They call that AB, the AB format, right? Every other line rhymes. You can form a pattern where it's every other line, and then the next 2 lines is a different vowel sound. That would be like A, B, C, C. I remember doing that with poetry. Rhyming's a little harder, but it does create great rhythm. And in stanza number 4, and some of you probably have already experienced this, but I'd want you to imagine that you are leaving or moving away. What will be your favorite lasting memory of your neighborhood? And that kind of is the ending focal point for the poem. Remember, we're brainstorming, writing our thoughts. This is not a final draft by any means. I'm just giving you just a little framework for a poem about our neighborhood. take a minute to kind of wrap up the last few lines. And I want to give an opportunity for us to share some of our work this morning. I see a hand raised there. Is that Jimena? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Would you like to share?
Yes.
Take it away, my friend.
Okay. So my case, it was kind of hard to pick one home because I moved from Mexico like 7 years ago. So basically, I have two homes, and this is what I create. Let me see. Okay. So since my homes, they're not like a physical building or a neighborhood, I just did it as a way for me to represent my culture, my people, my traditions, and part of my family as well. So here it goes. I tell I'm Jimena Peña, and it goes like this. I'm Jimena Peña, the girl without pena to raise her voice and accent without problema. I'm the daughter of Elba Lisset and Guillermo Peña, two loving and hardworking Mexicans who lived life in made in Tierras Negras. My mom was raised and born in Tierras Negras, while my dad migrated from Mexico DF seeking for a better life and evitar terremotos causing dilemmas. I am North and South, with two homes and one life. I go to my homelands switching channels in the radio, trying to find the beat that matches mi cantar. I am Mexican American. Don't believe me? Watch me danzar a zapateo that burns my heart. I don't make con tortillas, but I can teach you how to make a rico pozole that warms your heart while we sing in praise to the Niño Jesús during Navidad. I am a Mexican American woman with a dream of becoming a professor or a profesora, teaching Mexican American history con la verdad. I'm an ambitious dreamer with the hope to bring a mi familia to El Gabacho and show them around, hugging and crying, crying and hugging. I'm sorry. Hugging and crying, crying and hugging for the emotion of being together for the first time in the dreamland. I'm Jimena Peña. Oye mi cantar. I will never stop until I see my dreams become realidad. And that was the end.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. I love how you use your language, all of that to describe that. That's a first draft, yo. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Who else would like to share theirs?
I would share, but I just brainstorm. I didn't rhyme. I'm a rhymer. I write a lot of like not freestyles, but kind of sort of. So I didn't know that we was doing that, to be honest. I thought we were just brainstorming on the part. So I
It
didn't I
is.
didn't make it rhyme or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Share it. No, you don't have to rhyme.
But that's what I do though.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to.
I like the
Yeah.
freestyle and stuff. So I mean I can go off like I can just try to put something together and then come back if somebody else wants to go.
Okay.
because basically all I did was just like when I do poetry, I just brainstorm like throughout the form, and I come back around and I put it in format and kind of spit it out. All right.
All right. Anybody else want to go while he organizes? Whatever your process is what your process is in your work.
I can go, but I kind of really didn't follow the format. I mean, kind of, but it's all scattered.
Poetry. So. And then after you will be Milagros. Okay. And then George. All right.
All right. Yeah, it was just kind of flowing. So I put apartments, duplexes, potholes, cop cars, rushing traffic, gunshots, convenience stores. Rushing traffic, gunshots, convenience stores, fast food, and bars. Drug dealers, babies crying, Section 8 low income couples always fighting. All the odds stacked against us. Our youth are always falling through the cracks. Poverty is where they want us to stay. Progression seems never to be a reality because we're always getting set back. Determination, opportunity, hard work, and education. Raging against the machine. We fight back so this doesn't become our permanent destination. We rise from the ashes, giving it everything we got. We make it out to create a new life for our families. Life is grand. This is no doubt. When we get there, we say that we are never going back, forgetting where we come from, but always being reminded that we don't belong on this side of the track. That's it. It's really sloppy, so that's why I was stumbling through it.
That's not sloppy at all. This is what it's like to grade y'all's work. Like a lot of times I don't see y'all's faces or like hear anything that y'all say, and I get a little sad because I want everybody to talk. And then I read your stuff that you submit. I'm like, these fools, man, they don't share like all this brilliance. Thank you so much for sharing y'all's brilliance. Yeah, that was amazing. Milagros?
Okay, so mine, I think I sort of formed it, but I'm gonna just go ahead and just go for it. So it goes like, the scent of carne asada en fin de semanas, extraños que se convirtieron en familia. Others may hear sirens and be alarmed, say it's dangerous and filled with crime, leaving memories and a life behind, the home I grew up in and the memory of my parents' love.
I love that. It's a little bit sad at the end, like nostalgic, I should say. Right?
Yeah, I had a lot of nostalgia towards it because like my parents had us older in age. So they're like in their almost 60s. They're in their late 50s right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm just 21. And so they're already starting to talk about retiring and like leaving the US and going back to Mexico. And like my parents have always said that they want to like, once their end comes, like my parents always talk about like dying and they're like, I want to be buried in Mexico. And like my dad's the type of dad where like we talk to him about the future and he's like, no, pues ya me voy a morir. No, pues and so like, and right now he's been gone almost 2 months now. He's gonna stay in Mexico until January. And so right now I've just been like really missing him. So yeah. It's just, yeah. But I like the process of like thinking about my house that I grew up in. Because this is the one and only house that we've had ever since I was little. So like it holds a lot of meaning. And so like thinking about its significance and like the impact that the neighborhood has had on my life, it was just like, it was good to be able to do that.
I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, our final three will be George, Maria, and Victoria. Y'all are brilliant.
I go last with the writing.
Okay, we'll go Maria, Victoria, and George.
Okay, so this is like a really bad rough draft. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a second because when she was like talk about how like the smell because I'm new to this country. I moved here about 3 years ago. I'm from Nigeria. And for a second, I was like, what does it smell like? And I was so scared. I was like, am I forgetting like what home feels? I was like, oh my God. But anyway, so yeah, here it goes. Smoke from the firewood filled my eyes as I struggled to breathe. The palm trees swing from side to side as the breeze. I want something there that's gonna rhyme with breathe. I'm so sorry, it's not complete, okay? Chickens eating the crumbs off the floor. I smiled. No place is better than home. I watched as the little ones played, togetherness, happiness, all in place. The older ones talking under a shade. Nothing feels better than this place. They say it's dirty and cheap, inexotic, disgusting, and it stinks. Laughter, criticism, they heap, but it's home to me, and that's all that matters. I stared at the bags packed. Living isn't supposed to be this hard. Will I lose all the memories that I stacked? It's Africa, Nigeria, and I'm proud.
That is so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
It's like my sister said in the beginning, y'all are some for real ass poets. Oh my goodness. Victoria?
Okay, so a little background, I guess, on mine. I also was like kind of like hesitant with the poem because I'm a military brat. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know like what home is technically, but I like the way that I kind of like took the topic. So yeah. I come from many neighborhoods, too many to pick a home. So instead, they are places where my heart created a home for itself. The tall, bland beige or white-colored buildings, generic numbers to label them, the attics where I would play with my juguetes, the way I smelled mama's cooking to tell me it was time to come down for dinner. My neighborhoods were diverse. My people screaming, dancing, and clapping to reggaeton y el tamborito. My neighborhoods were diverse until I came to the U.S. for the first time. Landing my feet in Washington State, my mouth became quiet. Barely anyone walking the streets, I felt like the loud siren of an ambulance car. I come from many neighborhoods, too many to pick a home. Many may think that my old neighborhood was filled with joy and unity, pero it had its flaws. There were layers of racismo, homophobia, patriarchy, and the men who feared a woman with pride. My neighborhoods challenged me. My neighborhoods created me. I come from many neighborhoods, too many to pick a home, but they chose me.
I got this when you said my neighborhoods challenge me. My neighborhoods, yeah, I love that. That's so powerful. Y'all are so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, George, we're at time, but go ahead and give us what you got, or we gotta go.
Yeah, this is just something short. I just put something. I can get real deep if I had more time, but I'm more of a freestyle type person. But all right, so the poem is just says no name. I didn't even come up with a name, but it says I live in a place where you can see some of the prettiest things, everything I can ever want, and everything I can ever want. So it seems we have restaurants for days. We have restaurants for days, and also you can shop too, even pregame at the bars and get lit with your crew. That place, this place, this place is not as loving to me because of the way I look sometimes and sometimes I want to flee, but I would never let that happen because I am strong and I am unique. I am leaving my dream home to see another place where I will always be proud of my race and find another happy space.
I took us on a journey. I love it so much, y'all. Lisa, you want to have any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for all of you for inviting me and listening to me, listening to my emotions. And I just want to encourage you, take this little kernel of joy that you created in less than 15 minutes, because that's really what it took. I timed it. We started writing at at 10:48, and and we're going on 11:17. So take that little kernel and keep working on it, revisit it. And yeah, give yourself that time. And I know it's hard, but find people that, want to maybe write and share. I don't know, it's just, I don't think we give each other and ourselves opportunities to tap into our artistic selves, which is really the core of who we are. So don't forget that in your academic journeys. And I wish you all the very best and hope that you will rest next week and spend some time alone with yourselves and your loved ones.